Welcome back to the Calzone. We got Brian, we got Ben. We are doing the series right now on buyers, right? 3-part series, maybe 4-part series. Our first part was like finances, right? Is it the right time to buy for you? And, getting your finances in order so that you can buy. The next thing I wanted to talk about is location and needs versus wants, right? And maybe talking to yourself about what you absolutely need in a house and what you kind of want in a house. Some stuff that you might be able to sacrifice to get in that price range that we talked about last episode.
Yep.
So a lot of things that are important to people about location is, school zones and stuff like that, what high school they're going to go to, what elementary school, what middle school, stuff like that. So talk to your realtor about that kind of thing. Your commute to work, the dining and entertainment, and then recreation. Like I was showing this guy this last weekend, who's big into mountain biking. I know of a few single track trails around town. There's a big mountain bike like park up off Hogue Road. So I showed him a place over there, and then we went to go see that mountain bike trail, and it was a pretty fun experience. But just seeing him light up about being close to that was pretty cool. What I do want to talk about further is the needs versus wants, and maybe making those sacrifices, right? All right, my lender, after talking with my lender and after getting my finances in order, my price point is $500, right? Or $400. Now, is every school zone going to have a house option for you in that price point? Probably not, right? Like you look at something like Reno High, right? It's going to be tough to get, within the McCarran Loop or in that Reno High zoning with, and find a $400,000 house. So I don't know, Ben, what are your thoughts on stuff?
Yeah, I was thinking about talking more about needs versus wants, right? Like I really want the white cabinets.
Right.
So,
right.
So like, what are some of the needs that I think that are buyers are kind of thinking about? What, price point is a very good one. I think that's probably going to be somewhere up there on the top of the list, because that's really going to kind of dictate. Some of that's going to dictate location, right? So like, if there's another want in there with location, then you're going to have to find something within that price point in that location, right? Which is not necessarily something that we need to put on the back burner or make a want, right? Like, that's the beauty of having somebody that's local in this community that can find, having a realtor that can find those little pockets of areas and whatever, right? Like that's not for every client, but
right.
I think, yeah. So high up on there, what are some other wants that you can think of that people are asking for right now?
Brian, you got anything? I feel like you're just sitting there.
Yeah, right. I'm like, thanks for bringing me in, big guy. A lot of the times it's being close to medical care.
Okay.
Right? Like that was a big one for my wife.
That's a great one,
close
yeah.
to medical care. Close to dining and entertainment. When we were talking about coming up, it was, we looked in Minden and it was love the views, love everything, a lot less dining options, a lot less shopping options. Mm-hmm. And so that plays in. That's not really a need as far as I was concerned, right? But,
right.
Different people you're trying to...
I've dealt with a couple of clients that are along that same kind of thing, like needs versus wants. You say, what is something you really want? And they'll say something like, I need a big backyard, right? Well, do they need a big backyard?
Yeah, it's tough to break that up.
Could they?
Yeah.
Could they?
I
be
need a
near
big backyard
park?
because I've got 2 huge dogs.
Right. Then you absolutely need a big backyard, and we need it fenced.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's a big backyard for the family and the kids and everything like that, I don't know why I put those in air quotes, because they are actually real things, family and kids. But let's move on from that. Maybe because I just don't have any, dude. So it's just like, oh, your family and your kids, sick. But do you want that big backyard for the family and for the kids? Or what if we got you somewhere near a park or backs up to BLM land? Do you want a big backyard because you don't want to be near anybody, or, in one of those neighborhoods that's kind of stacked on top of one another? Or, would next to this park or next to BLM land work for you? Yeah. Stuff like that. So I think it's pretty important to nail down when you're starting your home search, to nail down what your absolute necessities are, what your needs are, and try to figure out what your wants are instead of needs.
And
right?
Is that something that you do with all of your clients? Because those questions that you're just asking, that digging that you're doing, that makes people go, oh,
yeah, I was just going to say that, right? Like, not every family, husband and wife, whatever dynamic, is going on in there are having these conversations, right? Because they don't necessarily know what to talk about. So I think having a podcast like this is cool, right?
Right.
And, talking about, bringing that realist, that expert in to help, like what Brian's talking about, to start asking some of these questions.
I mean, when we started looking, we hadn't had those conversations. And so it was like, oh, let's go look at all of these homes and then figure it out. And that is just, it was so much more stress and so much more time than we needed to take.
And you're not alone at all. Yeah. Honestly, I love shopping with buyers. I love going out and seeing homes and seeing the different stuff that's on the market, and being able to shop in different areas is super cool too. Like, one day I'll be in Fallon, and that'll be super cool. But beside the point, what I really like is being able to see when we walk into a house, like, oh my gosh, I love this kitchen, and that wasn't even on their wants list, right? Like a big open kitchen with a great room. Or, I love the color of these cabinets. Okay, dope. Now I know what to look for. When I'm looking through the MLS every day, every morning I look through the MLS, see the new listings, see what's back on the market and stuff like that. When I see those white cabinets, I'm going to be like, oh, yeah, Ben wanted those. Let's see if the other stuff matches his criteria. Like, could like Sparks High work for him, or could Reed High work for him instead of Reno High, stuff like that. So those are conversations that we definitely have during the home shopping process. But if you have that stuff figured out beforehand, it makes it so much easier, so much more stress-free. So having those conversations with whoever you're shopping with is absolutely a necessity.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Dude, it's tons of fun. Shopping is fun, dude. Shopping is super fun. To a point. Let's not go see 100 homes. Like, let's try to narrow that down pretty quick. But we were talking about it the other day. What do you think the average amount of homes you show to a buyer is before they end up finding something they love, or something that's going to work for them? And I think I answered with like 7 to 10, which is kind of like right where you want to be. The first like 4 homes they see. As a realtor, I'm watching them look at the house and like, how are they reacting? Do they really like this spot? Do they really like this area? And if your realtor's not asking you questions while they're walking through the house, they're just not doing their job, because they've got to have that info to move forward.
Interesting, kind of on the same topic. I was talking to a builder a few years back, and he said that a buyer that buys a new home, this was specific for new homes, it's probably pretty similar for resale, but the touch point for that home is 12 times. Whether they see it online, whether they do a drive-by, whether they actually go look at it with an agent or a sales rep there. It's about 12
that's interesting.
times. Yeah. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Super interesting.
So yeah, if you need to go look at something a couple of times to make, this is a big decision, right? Like
100%, dude. It's not, I'm not going to be like, no, we can't go see that again.
No, that's not what I was saying. No, I just think that it's interesting, people
should have
like,
taken pictures. My bad.
Even as agents, right, we might show them the same house, 3, maybe 4 times, but I'm saying those other touch points, right? They're online. You're online, right? You guys are looking at these houses multiple times that we don't even know about.
Right, for sure.
All right, I got a bonus material question really quick.
Ooh.
How many times has it happened with you where the first home that the buyer sees is the best home that's out there for them?
Oh, when I was in new homes, it was every time.
That's a great answer, dude. It's a great question. You know, the best house for them, I don't know, probably anywhere from 30 to 50%. You know, I mean, generally with the amount of knowledge that buyers have now with Zillow and Trulia and Realtor.com, and I mean, they just have so much access to so much information. They do a lot of homework before showing up and asking to see that house. Most of the time, right?
Yeah.
A lot of times it is this process of trying to figure it out. But a lot of times you're absolutely right. You know, they've been creeping on Zillow for 6 months and they've talked to 18 different realtors, and finally they're like, all right, I like this one. Let's go see this one. You know, let's commit to this one. It happens a lot, but I try, and maybe I'm stepping on my own feet here, but I try to not make it go that quick. You know, I especially if they're new to the area, like a lot of our buyers are in Reno.
Yeah.
You know, let's try to look at another area, or, you know, if you love this one, let's go for it. Let's try to get it. But have you thought about Spanish Springs area? Have you thought about South Meadows? You know, stuff like that. So
yeah, I think one of the worst things as a real estate agent is when you see your buyer having cold feet.
Right.
Yeah. And I don't know if that's what you're speaking
That's
to.
exactly.
Like,
thank you for putting it in real words.
Yeah,
I was just mumbling over here.
It's you know, it's tough, right? When you've got this buyer that's coming up on contingency dates, and you can literally physically see it in them sometimes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to be absolutely positive. So that kind of brings us into wrapping it up, right?
Cool.
Schools, commute, needs, wants, figure it out.
Yeah.
After you figure out your finances, and I have no idea what our third episode.
That's usually how these are
gonna
going. So
be.
just stay tuned.
We'll figure it out 5 minutes before shooting.
We'll figure it out. All right. Check you later.
Thanks, guys.